Welcome back everyone, Slothcakes here for some more Gundam shenanigans, and today we're going to be looking at my top 10 V-Fins in Gundam. Now, this is in no way me running out of ideas trying to salvage something for a video, which does sound like it, but I honestly thought this idea would be neat. But before we jump in, let's set some quick ground rules. First, it's gotta be a Gundam, and while there are other mobile suits with cool protrusions on the head, it's gotta be considered a Gundam in one way or another. And with the definition of Gundam, it changes with different universes and it can be quite vague. Next is the V-Fin, which have taken so many different forms that we can stretch the definition a little bit just to make the video a little more interesting. But with all that out the way, let's jump right in. Starting with number 10, let's kick it off where it all started, with the iconic V-Fin we all know and love begun, the Gundam Mk2. Well yes, the RX-78 did have the first V-Fin. It's not the iconic look we're all used to, because if you look at the colors, it still has the red base, but the two antennas are white. And there are plenty of mobile suits out there with the white antennas, but the iconic look of red base and gold prongs starts with the Mk2 Gundam from Zeta. This is the first chronological appearance of that V-Fin, and this is why it should be number 10 on the list. It's a simple look, it's clean, and it's recognizable. And there's plenty of mobile suits on this list that are gonna have a similar color scheme. Also, if I put the Gundam on the list, I feel like that would just be like a free space on bingo, so I tried to avoid that. But now with that obvious choice out the way, let's move on to number 9. Coming up, we have the Barbatos from Iron-Blooded Orphans, but specifically the 4th form or the first version. Now, I'm not dissing the Lupus or the Lupus Rex, but something about this V-Fin is special. Either the simplicity of it, either the massive base that it has, or just that it looks like this huge chunk of metal that was just slapped into shape, it has a really nice appearance. On the Barbatos' head, this thing is huge, covering most of the head, and at certain angles, it's just right above the eyes, giving this demonic look to it, and it complements the mobile suit beautifully. It really gives it like a savage, monstrous look that the others also do, but I don't know why. I just like this one a little bit better. Now, for something recent, we have the Gundam Schwarzette from Witch of Mercury, and this takes a new approach to the V-Fin, being two small horns accompanied by the silver ring. It's a unique design and an interesting take on the V-Fin. And yeah, it's really pushing the definition, but paired with the glow of its glowy bits, it just looks pretty. It oddly pairs well with the rest of the mobile suit, having a blocky look, and how this headpiece protrudes out and just hides the eyes right under, like the Barbatos, gives this dude a killer look, and makes for some cool shots and some intimidating poses. Now, this is all fine and dandy, but I just gotta bring it up because, well, I have to. This guy is based off the Dawn Blade, which isn't a Gundam, but has a better head, with the ring leaning back and a massive commander fin. Makes it look like some sort of beetle, which is kick-ass, but it's not a Gundam. And since we brought that up, might as well bring this up as well for no apparent reason whatsoever. The Dawn Blade is piloted by Best Boy Guel, who piloted his own custom Delanza, which again is not a Gundam like the Dawn Blade, but if it was, holy shit, this thing would be high on the list. Looking like a rhinoceros beetle horn, this thing slaps so hard. This dumb fluffy feather behind it is the icing on the cake, but god damn, this thing looks so great. However, it's not a Gundam, so yeah. Now, some of you might be thinking, Sloth, you only put the Schwarzette on the list to talk about the Delanza custom. And to that, I say, let's move on to our next entry. We can best describe the next entry on the list as the most beautiful V-Fin, because we have the Woundwort, and not just any, but with the Psycho Blade V-Fin attached. This just being an antenna for Psycom waves, they could have easily just made this a regular V-Fin and called it a day, but no. Whoever designed this went beyond and made it the most aesthetic looking V-Fin out there. Like a figurehead on a boat being sometimes an emblem or a mermaid, they took that idea and slapped it on the Woundwort, and it looks marvelous. This six-winged angel works so well with the thin, round shape of the Woundwort, and honestly, by itself, this mobile suit just looks really pretty. I think it's just the shape, the roundness, and smooth design. It's a very pleasing mobile suit to the eyes. Overall, it's a simple concept that in a way I'm surprised I don't see more of it, but it's done so well on the Woundwort that it would be so tough to outdo. You know, sometimes bigger is better, and the next entry is all about that, and it's the Devil Gundam from G Gundam. And yes, this guy's V-fin is really goofy. He's a big guy for himself. He stands at 23.9 meters, which is taller than a majority of things in G-Fighter. However, he has a regular V-fin on his head, and he's got a massively comically big one on his waist. But that's not the highlight of the list. It's neither his MA mode as well, which is his bottom half transforming into a Gundam head. And besides looking like a mechanical angular fish, that's also not the highlight. The real star of the show is when the Devil Gundam assimilates something. He takes something over and in the process gives it a V-fin. Now he does this a few times, but the real star of the show is the opening for G-Fighter, because during the end scene we see the Shuffle Alliance heading towards Earth that looks like it was assimilated by the Devil Gundam. We see this giant amalgamation of cables, metals, and if you look at the right shoulder, we even see a Gundam head that's all attached to this weird looking thing. And the size of this thing is huge. That is the planet under it, so this thing's what, maybe 2/3 the size of Earth? And he does have a V-fin. So that V-fin should approximately be the size of an entire continent, which not only on this list, but in Gundam in general, makes that the biggest V-fin out there. Now too bad this opening scene that lasts like 5 seconds is the only time this ever appears, but hell, it's cool enough to add to the list. Our next entry is from an OVA, being Model Suit Gunpla Builders Beginning G. And in this, let's introduce number 5 on the list, the Beginning Gundam, which is a stellar looking mobile suit, but on its head, we have some shiny V-fins. But that's about it. It's the most basic form of V-fin, the red base with the yellow gold antennas, but with some extra gloss, so why is it so high? Well, this is it in Gunpla form. In simulation, the V-fins are actually beams, meaning he has constant beam sabers activated on his head to portray the V-fin. Which, honestly, it's that ridiculous extra shit we all appreciate so much. Now, when he uses his beam head Vulcans, which are these blue squares on his head, the beam V-fins do turn off. And honestly, that's that. That's all that I have to say about it. It doesn't seem like a lot, it's just 2 beams protruding out the Gundam's head, and that's why it's so high on the list. It's trying to get the concept of the V-fin and getting its basic form without changing it too much while being as extra as possible. And Gundam's Gunpla series are the only series that it's much easier to do stupid shit like this because you don't need to have some complicated explanation on why this is practical. The reason it does this is because it's cool. Next, we're going to be heading to Gundam Crossbone Dust, where we have the Anchor Gundam, with that Crossbone Gundam look of just being weirdly round and odd proportions. I love it very much, it's very different from others. Late UC's got this special charm to it that I love so much. But anyways, back to this guy. Why the anchor? Well, let's look at his head, and you notice it has this massive anchor blade thing. Reminds me of the Zaku Full Bullet. And like it, it's not just for show, which if it was, it would still be great looking and be awesome. This thing can rotate in high speeds, allowing for one of the sickest headbutts in all of Gundam, shredding anything it comes into contact with. And with any unexpected mobile suit that decides to punch you in the face, they're gonna end up sticking their hand in a meat grinder. But that's not all. This thing can be used for very specific scenarios as a really small head-only shield, blocking minor attacks. And for the final cherry on top, when the mobile suit enters heat dissipation mode, the fins actually move out the way and form the iconic V-fin we all know. So it looks cool, it's something different than the others, it has utility, it's a weapon, but it still forms that V-fin. It's got so many little things to it that honestly, it's really dumb. It's a stupid concept, but that's why I love it so much. That's what makes it so special and so high on the list. It's so many dumb little things put into one, and it somehow works. Coming in at number 3 is also from Crossbone and has the same vibe as the beginning Gundam, and it's the Phantom Gundam. Now if we look at this guy's head, there's no V-fin or any head protrusion there, so this is when things get interesting. The Phantom has a reversed engineered Minovsky drive system from the V2. This gives both mobile suits a plethora of things, however, let's stay on topic. With the V2, an effect of this system is the high energy exhaust this creates. This is manifested in the backpack and creates a giant pair of energy wings known as the Wings of Light. Due to the exhaust being high condensed Minovsky particles, these Wings of Light act like massive gigantic beam sabers, which they can be used to shield or cut things. And back to the Phantom Gundam, he has something similar. Known as the Phantom Light, his exhaust ports are actually riddled throughout his entire body. This causes the entire Phantom Gundam, when activated, to be engulfed in these Minovsky particles, looking like he's on fire. And due to this, like the Wings of Light, this creates a small eye field engulfing the entire Phantom, which makes him quite resilient towards any type of beam weaponry. And you might know where this is going. This also applies to his head, specifically 2 ports on his forehead. He has V-fins that look like they're on fire. Remember what I said about the beginning Gundam of having beam V-fins would be hard to do outside the build universe due to it just seems wasteful and you're gonna need a good reason to do it? Well, the Phantom Gundam gives you that good reason and goes beyond, and that is why he's number 3. So, we're almost there, and on to number 9, it's a simple entry. Up next is the Turn A Gundam from Turn A, which makes one of the most simple but drastic changes to the V-fin, by getting the Gundams, the white fins and red base, and just moving it down a bit, and making it a little more pointy and curvy, and bam, you turn the V-fin into a glorious mustache. Giving your mobile suit facial hair is a radical change, but something I can get behind. And for those who follow the teaching of Meng, he goes a lot into the importance of a mustache. And no matter what, to this day, side by side, the Turn A still sticks out, due to, well, it being a really unique design, and we can thank Sid Mead for that, who's the mechanical designer for a majority of Turn A, and he did an amazing job, love his work. But at the end of the day, it's just that. It doesn't have anything fancy to it, well, besides one thing we'll touch in a second. It can't be used as a weapon, it doesn't come off or anything, it doesn't hide anything inside of it, it's just a good looking mustache. And sometimes simple is better. Less is more in some cases, and that is why it's at number 9. And also I'm biased towards Turn A, it is one of my favorite series. And for that one little bit thing that I would like to put as the cherry on top of the Turn A is that the Turn A has nanomachines that can repair the mobile suit when it's damaged. So, if the glorious mustache is damaged, it will repair itself, which is awesome. But finally, we are at number 1. Coming up is my favorite, and what I think is the cream of the crop, and to many others the same. And I think some might already know what it is, and probably thought it was number 1 before they clicked this video. But I have to say you are kind of right, because number 1 is and is not the Double Zeta. No, but it is the Build Fighters Tri version of the Double Zeta, the Tryon 3. Consisting of 3 machines that one long transformation sequence later becomes this guy. He is grand and mighty in every way. But let's get to that V-fin. It's just beautiful. It brings a tear to my eyes. I'm just in awe of its presence. Being inspired by older Super Rock shows like Diatron 3, it really shows. The shape and size complements the mobile suit, and the V-fin looks like the centerpiece found in Kabuto helmets. It fits and complements the entire mobile suit perfectly and really draws your attention, which is hard since he's got a damn lion on its chest. But if it ended here and was just this, it would still be high in the list, but not number 1. And this is where the double Zeta comes into play, because both mobile suits share the high mega cannon that's located in the base of the V-fin, meaning both mobile suits' V-fin can shoot you with the biggest giant fuck off beam cannon you've ever seen. Now, this is not enough for something as mighty as the Tryon 3 because he has to go even beyond. And the real just cherry on top for this guy, what separates him from the double Zeta and why he took the place instead is the Tryon 3 can take his V-fin off, and then he can throw it like a boomerang. Now, besides role-playing as Great Mazinga, this is a quite unique weapon. He's already riddled with weapons, but what one additional one kinda hurts. And if you ever need to chop a mobile suit in half with a handy-dandy boomerang, well, your forehead's got you covered. So, we have a V-fin that looks amazing, has a unique design, can shoot you, and can come off and be used as a boomerang. It's all this little stuff that I think is so cool and adds up and why I believe it's number one, and why I, and hopefully after this, you as well, love this guy, and why he deserves the number one slot. And that's that, my top 10 V-fins. Yes, this is an odd video, but when I thought of this concept, I thought it was stupid enough that it would be interesting. So if you have a favorite that didn't make the list, leave down in the comments and tell me why. But like usual, if you haven't dozed off yet, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Till next time, Sloth Cakes here, and have a good one.